Blacklocks reporter breaks yet another Liberal scandal that the mainstream media will ignore. Catherine McKenna's ministry is ignoring a full century's worth of weather data that just doesn't fit the Liberals' pro-carbon tax, fear-mongering agenda.
You would have probably seen the report that we put out that shows that Canada is warming at double the global average.
Our changing climate report has shown that with the changing climate, the island is going to be a lot rainier at times, but also more droughts. You're going to see much hotter days in the summer, so extreme weather that's going to have a real impact, and it's going to mean that mayors are going to have to be better prepared.
Now, if you listened carefully to Environment Minister Catherine McKenna, you might think we are headed for an inescapable climate inferno. And McKenna says she has the data to prove it. And that's sort of true, except for the very large and inconvenient fact that McKenna's ministry, Environment and Climate Change Canada, is omitting 100 years of relevant, measured, and government-cataloged data in favor of new temperature models and reverse climate projections that suit the government's warming Earth narrative that they're using to tax Canadians for the pleasure of being alive. Blacklocks has the full story. Now, I'm going to make the same caveat that I always do when I'm reporting on a Blacklocks story. Blacklocks keeps much of its content safely behind a paywall because that's how they pay the bills over there. They aren't going to take $1 in bailout money from Justin Trudeau, and I absolutely believe them when they say that. So, if you want to support investigative journalism that holds the government of the day to account, please consider a Blacklocks subscription. And I'm going to give you the gist of their article, but I'm not going to give you the whole thing for free. And I'm also going to add some of my own analysis to it. Now, this is from the Blacklocks article. Environment Canada omitted 100 years worth of weather data from a federal website intended to illustrate climate change. Staff also used modeling instead of actual temperature readings to plot dramatic graphs, but said the result was not intended to be misleading. The historical data is not observed historical data, said Samantha Bayard, spokesperson for the department. It is modeled historic data. Now, this data is used for a climate data website, and it's supposed to be a place, and I'm completely paraphrasing here, where policymakers can get these sorts of reliable data sets they need to anticipate the coming apocalyptic climate trends. Here, this is from the website. To support and enable Canada's climate change adaptation planning and improve access to relevant climate data, we are proud to present climatedata.ca. Now, let's get back to the Blacklocks article. Environment Canada owns weather records dating from 1850. However, all data up to 1949 were omitted after researchers concluded the number of weather stations nationwide was not, quote-unquote, dense enough for a reliable gridded data set to be created, said spokesperson Bayard. Not all models provided daily outputs for the full 1850 to 2005 period, said Bayard. Therefore, 24 models from historical simulations spanning 1950 to 2005 were used. Historical data omitted includes figures showing Vancouver had a higher record temperature in 1910 at 30.6 degrees than it had in 2017, 29.5 degrees. Toronto had a warmer summer in 1852 at 32.2 degrees than it did in 2017, 31.7 degrees. The highest temperature in Moncton in 2017 was 4 degrees cooler than in 1906. So, I thought I would do a quick test to see what sorts of data the climate gurus in the Government of Canada are now excluding to create their so-called reliable data set. So I chose the city of Halifax simply because it's on the other side of the country from me and because they just had a hurricane. Is that sort of extreme weather a new occurrence? I mean, isn't that what we keep being told? Hotter weather is a sign of climate change, but also so is colder weather? Well, according to the very records from Halifax that Environment Canada possesses, yet purposefully excluded from their new website, Halifax's hottest day ever was July 10th, 1912, well before that 1950 cutoff for the climate data website, and Halifax's coldest day was February 18th, 1922 at minus 29.4 degrees. Again, this date falls 28 years before the 1950 cutoff date. So I thought I'd try a little closer to home. Alberta's hottest day, it was recorded at the Bassano Dam. It was 43 degrees on July 21st, 1931. And our coldest day, at least according to Wikipedia and several other articles that I could find, seems to be Wednesday, January 11th, 1911 in Fort Vermilion. It was minus 61 degrees. Both dates well before 1950. In fact, I found this archived Statistics Canada page that shows the highest maximum air temperature in Canada ever recorded was 45 degrees in Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan on July 5th, 1937. That hottest day ever in Canada would not make it into this new reliable climate change data set. And neither would the lowest temperature ever recorded in Canada, minus 63 degrees in Snag, Yukon, February 4th, 1947. What real value is a data set that excludes the hottest and coldest days from some of Canada's major cities and probably dozens of others? Or Canada's hottest and coldest days ever because they happen in years that are inconvenient to the ticking down of the Liberal doomsday clock? Unless the real value of this data set is not to pass on actual, factual information, but instead to craft a reason to have a carbon tax, to fight weather trends that aren't even recorded accurately. In Catherine McKenna's world, the science is settled, but the historical data, well, that changes. Remember when McKenna said this?
You know, I actually gave them some real advice. I said that if you actually say it louder, we've learned in the House of Commons, if you repeat it, if you say it louder, if that is your talking point, people will totally believe it. So just go.
I guess McKenna also had a backup plan for when Canadians no longer believed her shrill, shrieking repetition of things that just aren't true. Just delete the data and pretend thermometers didn't exist before 1950. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Have you seen our plan to give you on-the-ground, first-hand accountability journalism you won't see done anywhere else in the federal election campaign? Well, if you haven't, you can see it at campaign2019.com. And while you're there, if you can donate to helping us get our journalists to where the news is happening, you can do that too at campaign2019.com.